Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at the Dyna-Soar and S4 Space Station mod, which is being made by forum user Silent Velcro. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is all the parts necessary to build two different historical concept spacecraft, which sadly never came to fruition. Now, the first of these two spacecraft is the Dyna-Soar space plane, better known as the Boeing X-20 Dynamic Soarer, or Dinosaur for short, which was meant to be an Air Force space plane. It was being developed in the 60s and actually got quite a bit of traction, but in the end was abandoned, sadly, before it ever was actually fully developed. Now, the other ship that we have in this is, well, actually a space station, the S4 Space Station, which, if memory serves me right, was actually one of a series of different concepts that the Air Force had to turn the S4 stage of a Saturn rocket into a variety of different space stations, and the particular one for this mod was meant to be paired with the Dyna-Soar, the station, of course, also being developed in the 60s, and meant to be, a nice little station that the Dyna-Soar could, get into space with, dock with, and then return to terra firma. Fun times. So let's jump right on into the VAB and have a look at these cool historical parts, though. They were never built in the end, which is always sad to never see these things come to their full development, but at least we can play with them here in Kerbal Space Program. And let's start by grabbing the Dyna-Soar Mark II body, and quickly just grab a Mark I command pod for size comparison's sake, and then turn back on the mod filters, which I had accidentally turned on before recording. There we go, and here is the main body of the Dyna-Soar space plane, and it is quite a cool thing. As you can see, not exactly the largest space plane in the world, and that is because it was meant to be sort of a small multi-purpose space plane for the Air Force. It does have just a simple crew capacity of one singular Kerbal, and of course a minimum crew to operate of one, had a built-in data transmitter generator using 0.3 monopropellant per minute to create 6 electric charge. It was its own lifting surface, has its own RCS reaction wheel, science crew report, of course, and then a battery of 350 electric charge and 50 monopropellant. So a very nice little space plane, very, very cool looking. I do enjoy the sort of matte black of the whole thing, though my one minor, tiny little problem that I have with it is the texturing. You guys know me. I prefer things to be stock alike, so I like my mods to look like the in-game parts. And this isn't exactly that. It is quite a nice black sort of riveted metal ship with some interesting, very cool looking reflective shiny windshields there, but it definitely doesn't look like a stock craft. And I can actually let it slide because it is meant to be a historical parts mod, and historical part mods tend to be non-stock alike because they do want to look like the historical piece that they are trying to reproduce. And so I can let it slide with that, and even, even though it isn't stock alike, it is still quite cool looking, and a lot of detail has gone into it, so I am perfectly happy with it. Just a tiny minor thing for me and my insanity. But let's actually drop off the Mark I command pod because we really don't need it anymore, and we're actually going to do something a little bit different this time. Rather than going through all the parts, we're actually going to go through it technically twice, because I'm going to show off the space plane first, and then the parts for the space station. So first and foremost here, we do need to show off, well, why is there this weird notch in the space plane? That's not aerodynamic, and that's because the mod maker wanted this to be a sort of modular space plane. Remember, I did mention earlier that this was meant to be sort of a multi-role space plane, and so to sort of reflect that, we can put in different modules in here. Now, the first of these modules is a fuel tank, which has 200 additional electric charge and 50 monopropellant, and you just pop that right on there so you can fly a bit longer and have your plane, up there in space for just a little bit longer time before having to land, and, fits nicely with the body. Very cool indeed. Now, the next module that we have here is in payload, and I think this is my personal favorite because it's just a cargo bay. And if we pop that on there, And then right-click, we can open it up and actually get a little zoom in here. There we go. We have a beautiful cargo bay, which does have some internal attachment points that you can see to allow you to put in whatever experiments or satellites or whatever it is you are wanting to launch into space. You can attach them in there and be a happy camper. Now, the last of the central modules is down here in Utility, and that is the Dinosaur passenger cabin. And it's at this point, I actually should mention that one of the really cool things I like about this mod is all of the internal parts where Kerbals are do have IVA views. So the space plane itself has an internal cockpit view, and this passenger cabin also does have a view, and of course can do the science crew report, and has the same shiny windows there. Always fun. And there we go. Those are the, well, actually leave that one on. What the heck? So that is the 3 different modules that can go in there. Now the next part we have, of course, is the engine, the Dinosaur engine pack, which actually does have its own built-in decoupler to get rid of the engine section, mainly for landing, because it's kind of hard to land with this thing, as if we put this on here, it's kind of a flared design. I mean, you know, 60s era design after all here, folks. And so yes, this thing can decouple to you know, provide you with means of safe landing. But the engine itself is, it's not actually, there we go, there are the stats. Has a max thrust of 75 kilonewtons in vacuum, so not the most powerful engine in the world, but its main purpose is for you to fly around in orbit a bit, and then of course deorbit to land back on terra firma. And it will use 2.29 liquid fuel per second and 2.8 oxidizer. It also does have a built-in RCS system, and then has 109 liquid fuel, 100 monopropellant, and 174 oxidizer. All good to have. Now, we got nothing in command and nothing in structural. In coupling, we do have a thing. Now, we're going to be back here later for the space station because, of course, these two components kind of go together. Now, we're interested in the Dyna docking arm. Now, this is the docking system for this space plane. It goes right here, and it's just some little bars, and if we extend it, they go up and they have little clamp hands that open. And on the space station, we'll have this docking rod on the space station. Let's see if I can put it somewhere here. That once activated, if I can actually activate it here, there we go, deploy that. It comes up so that these arms can grab onto them, and then it's docked at the station. Very cool little system. I do enjoy it. So they, you know, kind of meet up like so. So this is actually how you would end up docking with the space station on a weird little chin-up bar. But it's actually kind of a cool little design. I quite like it. And it's a little, actually quite interesting and fun to actually dock with it. But what's fun about this is once you are done with docking and returning back to the surface, it's actually meant to be decoupled. I don't know, so I guess it doesn't produce a small tiny amount of drag, perhaps. So it will pop off to make it easier for you to land. Now, the next payload, we already went through that. Aerodynamics. Well, this is important. We are a spaceplane after all, where we have a left wing. There we go, which clips into that point. A right wing, which clips into that point right there. Beautiful. And then we have 2 different elevons here. One that goes on the left-hand side, and the other goes on the right-hand side, so that we do have a bit of attitude control when coming in for a landing. Very, very handy to have. Now, in the ground section, we do have landing gear, but they're not technically gears, they're skids. So we have the aft ones, which click in right here into the back. There we go, we'll pop those in, and one that goes up in the front, the fore skid. And there we go, we have those for your landing safety, maybe, possibly, not with my flying, they will die. Thermal, we got nothing. Electrical, that's for the space station. Communications, we do have a telemetry antenna, which I don't know if there's actually a specific part where this thing's meant to go, but you kind of just put it anywhere, and there you go. You have a little antenna for data transmitting, which the ship already does have a built-in data transmitter, but this one is, of course, just a bit better. Now, in science, that is for the space station, and utility, the last thing we have here is the Dinosaur drag chute for you to come to a complete stop. Now, the one thing I'm a little bit Ooh, actually, no, I think I know where this is supposed to go now. I just remembered. Haha, we have that little square box right there. I was looking for something to do this with earlier. Oh, nope, kind of going to be difficult to get in there, isn't it, with those two being so close together? But yes, you have this small... There we go. Small little box bit where you can put the drag chute. So once you are, back into the atmosphere, you decouple the engine section away, you land on your skids, and then launch the drag chute so that you can slow down to a complete stop. There you go. That is our space plane in its entirety, the Dyna-Soar. Isn't it lovely? Now let's hit new and start with the space station now. We're actually going to start in science because it isn't up here in pods, but the science section has the S4 Space Station Orbital Module, which is a beautiful thing, has the Kerbal State Air Force right there. Very nice, very detailed texturing, and very different in its texturing, of course, to the completely black space plane. So, much brighter and cheerier in its colors, which I quite enjoy. And it's just a lovely little science module. Now, if we go back here, we do have, of course, some built-in lights for it, which is always good. It does have a gravity experiment, material bay experiment, temperature experiment. It is technically a science lab. It has 600 electric charge and 400 monopropellant, and does hold 3 crew members, has a full internal view for you to use, which is very, very nice. Now, we're actually going to go over to fuel tanks now, and go to the S4 fuel tank and guidance system, and there we go. We'll pop that on, zoom out a bit, and yes, this is a giant fuel tank and also unmanned command pod, so that if you don't have any crew, you're still okay to just leave this thing floating around out there. It does, of course, also have a built-in reaction wheel, SAS, has 400 electric charge, 1,575 liquid fuel, and 1,925 oxidizer, and is just kind of a big bulbous fuel tank there. Very, very nice. Now, down to engines, we have a S4 liquid fuel engine to go down at the bottom of this thing, and honestly, I think this actually may be my favorite part, just detail-wise. Look at all that beautiful detail in there on that engine. It is simply gorgeous. But yes, there we go. A good engine, a maximum thrust of 550 kilonewtons, and it'll use 12.9 liquid fuel and 15.8 oxidizer per second, and does have 4 degrees of gimbaling range, always useful. We then have the S4 Ullage motors, which are small little solid rocket boosters. My assumption is to help you with separating from your main rocket stage, perhaps, possibly. And yes, 100 kilonewtons of thrust and vacuum on these things, and just a couple of seconds worth of solid fuel, maybe about, 6 seconds or so. But yes, little tiny solid fuel engines, always useful. Nothing in command and control, nothing in structural. In coupling, though, we're back to this. Now, let's put on this docking rod here, which does specifically go right here. There we go, so on the thickest part of the space station, so that you have plenty of, headroom up here for yourself to dock in. Very handy, very nice design. We then have a number of these S4 Space Station Gemini docking ports, which fit in like so, and basically have a cone to help guide you into your docking. There we go, and rotate there, so we have those 3 points of attachment. Very handy to have. And, ooh, I actually forgot something with the space plane. Oh, the Dinosaur Titan rocket adapter. Now this, if we actually take off this engine real quick, go back for a moment to this engine, the Dyna-Soar space plane was, of course, designed to be launched into space on the back of a Titan II rocket, and the creator of this mod, Silent Velcro, also has a mod with a Titan II. So this is an adapter specifically to fit his Titan II design, so that you can actually put the space plane on top of its proper rocket, and all will be well. And it is a lovely decoupler for that, which is always useful. So there we go. Now back to this engine, and the last of the things in the decoupler here, which is just a giant freaking decoupler for this thing. Let's just rotate it around for this, and there you go. Very big, ginormous freaking decoupler with such powerful engines that it actually has 360 kilonewtons of thrust and is done with solid fuel for just a quick, like, 1.5 second-ish burn. And a very nice, just gigantic decoupler for all of your needs. Always fun. Now, in payload, we also do have some fairings in here, some custom fairings. These fit along here, as you can see. Now, of course, not so well with the with the Gemini docking ports there. They do kind of stick out, but there we go. We have some protective fairings so that the station can get launched into space more safely, which is always good. Nothing in aerodynamics for it. Nothing in there, nothing there. Electrical, though, we do have two lovely solar panels, which we can extend right there. Beautiful. Well, one solar panel, but it's meant to go on either side there to produce electricity, and it will produce a 10 electric charge per second, given good sunlight. Now, in communication, we do have a space antenna for the station. If we pop it here, and then, now gotta get right onto it there. Excellent. Extend it. Beautiful, and it also has a light. Perfect. So we have just a nice big antenna coming out there. Always fun. Now, in science, well, that is already it, and that is all for this space station. Isn't it lovely? You got 3 big, nice docking ports for Gemini-style craft. You've got the docking rod for the space plane, and it all comes together into a fun package. Now let's actually leave here and go into space, where I have one of these space stations already built with the Dinosaur attached. I launched it earlier today and went to dock it all, because sadly, of course, I couldn't really build it together, so I actually had to launch something for a change. But there we go. Here is our beautiful little station with the Dyna-Soar space plane ready and raring to go, and it is just a beautiful design. I really do love the look of this thing. It's just a fun little addition into the game, and it's quite beautifully made. And if you do like that sort of 60s era space travel, then yeah, you're probably going to love these parts, because I mean, come on, it just screams 60s era design, especially the spaceplane. And yeah, we got just a cool little thing here. If we actually turn back on the UI, turn on some lights for the whole place, there we go. Lovely. Now let's take a look at some of the internal views. Now, Jebediah Kerman is the pilot in the space station, and there we go. This is the internals of the station. A very simplistic thing, not really much to it, but, you know, good enough for use. And then if we switch over to our other Kerbals here, they're just in these other chairs, just sort of kicking about. Now, again, not exactly the most impressive interior. Hopefully this does improve with time, but still, you know, nice to have something. Now let's cycle through him and then go to our pilot. Now here we are in the cockpit of the Dinosaur, and this thing, oh, it's beautiful. Look at just all of these bits and bobs, all the fun equipment. Now, this mod does come pre-packaged with a load of other mods, so you don't have to worry about prerequisites, but it does come pre-installed with things like the asset props and things like that, so that's why this thing does look as beautiful as it does. But let's actually maybe tilt it a bit so perhaps we can get some more sunlight in here. Oh, there we go, so we can see a bit better. Kind of hard when we're docked to this thing. Yeah, I don't know how well we're going to get from there, but yeah, we have a lovely, lovely cockpit. Now, of course, to see the final bit of the passenger cabin, we're going to have to move a crew around. Now, we are, of course, docked to the docking rod up here, so if we do want to transfer some crew, let's move. Oop, wait, no, I need to go down here. Let's transfer Bill and pop him into that there. So Bill is now inside that passenger cabin, and let's just go find him. There we are, and here is the interior for the passenger cabin. Just a nice little thing. We appear to be lying down. Now it's kind of hard to see because of just where the light is, but we have a little control panel here with radio controls. There is a nice DSLR camera over there on the side, and we have our lovely windows to look out on the world. And isn't it just beautiful? It is just a lovely, lovely little station. I do enjoy it. And of course, we can always undock them. Let us do that now. Let us, and undock. Perfect. Which one am I flying? Oh god, I don't know. Who did I send in there? Bill. Okay, so yes, Valentina is flying. Never mind, we're good. So let's turn on the RCS and actually back up from, or RCS, not SAS. Oh, wrong way, wrong way. Let's back away. And we can retract our docking arm. There we go, back down. And yeah, there we go. We have now undocked from the space station and can fly away. Fly away to wherever it is that we need to go. So retrograde. There we are. Lovely. Oh man, I actually didn't notice this before. The shine on that actually reflects the planet. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, now we need to actually... Ooh, I need to move this down here so we can actually turn on the engine. And thrust. Activate. There we are. Oh, I'm still... That's why I wasn't in flight mode. I was in RCS mode still. So there we go. We can then deorbit this thing and try and land. Now, of course, we're not going to land because, well... I'm an horrible pilot and this plane would crash. But yeah, just to give you an idea of how things would go, you know, decouple from the fun space station and then fly back to the planet in your space plane. It's just a wonderful little thing. So if you would like to check out this mod for yourself, and I would definitely say to give it a go, you can take a look at the link in the description as usual. But yeah, that is actually going to be it for this video today. I guess we probably should decouple this thing. Oh, no, wrong thing. Decouple. Bye-bye. Oh, God, it got stuck there. Well, it's going to explode. Oh, well, what are you going to do? But that is going to be it for today, folks. I hope you all have enjoyed. And, of course, that you do come back for the next episode. But until that time, thank you for watching. And, as always, have a good one.